Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Prepper Podcast, and I'm joined today by my guest, Andy. How are you doing, Andy?
Not bad, mate, yourself?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Am I right in thinking you're ex-military yourself? I've noticed the flag behind you. Is it
Yes, mate, I am. Yep, I am indeed, mate, yeah, for my sins.
Yeah. Are you still in or are you out now?
No, mate, no, I was in for 7 years and I got out in 2016, back end of.
Right. Excellent. Cool. Right. I'll start with the question I ask everyone because, there's a stigma around it. Are you a prepper?
Yes.
Yes. You're not bothered about the word or anything like that?
No, mate, no. I think especially what you're doing and a few of the people who you've had on the show are moving away from the side I don't like. I like about it, which is the fear mongering. People trying to. Well, they've got their own agenda. But yeah, I call myself one purely to try and get away from the negative side of what people think we are, as opposed to what really are.
Yeah, definitely. So what started you prepping? I mean, obviously the military kind of instills a bit of that into you, being ready for anything kind of thing. But what started you actually prepping?
So it was a tangent of the military. So I want to say, if I get my dates right, it was around the Christmas of 2015. And I don't know if you can remember when there was all those bad floods in York.
Yeah.
And they thought that bridge was going to be washed away and it was going to take loads of houses out. Well, as it got closer to Christmas leave, we got put on 4 hours notice to move, where we would have to go back to camp, grab our stuff and go and help people evacuate. Now, luckily, I didn't get called up, but a couple of my friends did.
Yeah.
And obviously, when they're down there helping people evacuate, I was still in contact with them. And when I was talking to one of the lads, he said that they were going house to house knocking on doors, and they were saying to people, look, you've got 2 minutes to pack some things, and then you need to get on the trucks, and we need to get you out of here to a safe area, safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were saying, what do we pack for? The lads were saying, pack like you're not coming back. Because at the time, they generally thought some of the houses were going to get washed away.
Right.
And when the lads told me that, it kind of triggered something in me where I thought, if that ever happens to me, whilst I'm in the army, technically I was okay, because your kit's always packed. So in theory, I could just pick my burger up and I could run and I'll be okay. But I thought, if I'm at home and something happens, I'm totally lost. Because if I put myself in their shoes and thought, if someone knocks on my door and they say, right, you've got 2 minutes to pack like you're never coming home, what do I pack? Do I pack photos? Do I pack practical things? Do I pack for just me? Do I pack for my partner?
And you won't have that rational thinking in that moment either. You'll
exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly.
You'll be thinking, why the hell did I pick up He-Man? I don't know what I've got.
Yep, exactly that, mate. And he was saying that some people were grabbing crazy things, like grabbing crazy things, but like lamps. And the lads were like, "No, like you can't be taking a lamp." And they're like, sentimental reasons, which were justified to them. Like, for example, it was my great grand's lamp. If I lose it, so. It was that, mate, that kind of stemmed my thinking into I need to be more prepared. And it kind of started off with well, I called it a grab bag, but I suppose people would call it a go bag.
Yeah.
Maybe in our world. And that's how my journey started, mate, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you more prepped for bugging out then with that kind of background and that kind of history? Or are you still prepping to bug in?
I'm prepping to bug in, but there's always a caveat, like here's to many things. I'm prepping to bug in, mate, but my original prepping was to bug out, because it was always going to be if I was flooded, if my house was on fire. So originally, mate, my idea was to bug out. Yeah. My idea on that's kind of changed over the years, and it's kind of morphed now into. I mean, I've still got go bags for me and my partner for the flood fire type thing, but I've kind of verged more into the bugging in until it was unsustainable. Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of preppers. Some people are just doing it in general. Some people are just generally prepared. As far as I'm concerned, everyone's a prepper. If you've got a tub of plasters under the sink, you're a prepper.
Yeah, true.
So everyone's one in some way. Are you prepping for something in particular? Is floods an actual threat to where you are?
No, mate, no, it's not. It was just purely happenstance of how I first got into this, and that's how it kind of took off. I don't know whether I'm prepping for anything in general, mate. I would say I'm more of an all round prepper. I'm prepping for something, for the eventuality if something does happen. Where it could be one of a million things, couldn't it? So I wouldn't say I've got a particular reason in mind. But I suppose it became easy to do after the pandemic because my partner was then on board with it.
Right. Okay.
So before the pandemic, mate, she was very keen on, I know you've got things covered. I know you've got things handled. You take care of us, and that's all good. And then when the pandemic came along and supermarkets, where I don't want to say ration, but there was controls put in place, supermarkets and that type of thing. And when she could go into the garage and take stuff off a shelf, she was like, I very much see the appeal to this. Yeah. Like this is, we're onto something here. And then ever since then, mate, she's totally bought into the whole thing. So it's very easy for me to do it now. That's on a larger scale.
Yeah, it's always good when you've got that support. So, I mean, the fact that you're doing it generally all round. I mean, I started because I researched the Carrington event and EMPs, and grid down is kind of my priority with prepping. That's the kind of thing that I focus it round. Do you have anything like that, or are you just storing general goods?
No, mate, I do have a lot of. I always find that now things always get tailored to what's most likely to happen to me. So, for example, maybe it was definitely this year, maybe a couple months ago, the electricity went off for like a day. We were prepared for that, and we breezed through it. But there's holes in it now where you see if that was longer than a day, realistically, we could survive, mate, and it would be a lot more comfortable than a lot of people. But you start to think, if we're verging on a week here, it's going to be hard. So things always trigger me here where. And now you won't be able to hear it now, but around the corner, Northern Grid have got a generator going because the whole street's got missing power, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong. So at the minute, mate, my main concern is what you were saying about grid down stuff. That's mainly what's in my mind at the minute, but that's because it's right at my focal point.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we mentioned earlier, we spoke just briefly before we came on air. It's probably one of the reasons you went away from like the YouTube in the first place was all the fear mongering, because if you had to prep for everything they said, you'd have a full on nuclear bunker and you'd have been living in it 6 months ago.
Yeah, you'd never leave the house, mate. You'd never leave the house.
So are you of the mentality of a lone wolf or a group, or what's your kind of plan centered around people?
I was watching one of your videos of the day, mate, and I heard the term. I've never heard it before. Mags.
Yeah, and mutual assistant groups.
Yeah. I think it was the Disabled Camper who mentioned it. It was on one of your podcasts. And I am very, very much for mags. I would love to have one, but I find that preppers naturally are extremely secretive and don't want to give away that they are prepper. So trying to find preppers and trying to establish a group is very, very hard.
Yeah, especially if you don't want to give that persona out yourself to people that aren't. Yeah.
I mean, I know there was on one of the groups on Facebook, I can't remember which one now, mate, but someone had mentioned about just the Northeast one in general. And I live in Newcastle, so I jumped on the back of that. And then maybe for about 2-3 days, everyone seems dead keen. Until you suggest, meeting up in a public place, wherever that might be, the Metro Centre, for example, or wherever it might be. And you see everyone just dies a death. And everything seems good in principle until someone, usually me, makes a decision where, right then, guys, we're going to meet up to swap ideas, share knowledge, like get the ball rolling type thing. And then it kind of just dies out. So I would say I'm a lone wolf at the minute, mate, but not through lack of want or lack of trying.
Not through choice, yeah.
What
I've tend to found, and me and Scotty spoke about this a while ago, is you've got to look at the hobbies that preppers are attracted to. So if there's archery lessons nearby, you know, obviously if it's some a parent with 2 of the kids, then that's not the case. But if it's a single guy in his 40s having archery lessons on his own, maybe you could
that's a good idea.
Subject slightly, sort of thing. Same with shooting or anything like that. The forums are great places, but I totally agree with you. Tend to, as soon as it gets to a real thing, people tend to, because they can be who they want behind a keyboard.
Yeah,
and I'm talking to you guys in the comments who always have to have yourselves heard. You know, they can be who they want in the comments and on the forums and stuff like that. When it comes to real life, maybe it's a bit of a fear thing.
Yeah.
So, but there is a few prepper meets coming up. I won't say anything right now, but there's some that are not right down south like they all seem to be. There's some a bit further north that we'll be sorting soon. So we'll get you involved with
that. Yes, mate, I do. I've already been messaged about that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, we'll hopefully sort a few different ones as well around the areas. So that'll be good. So with your prepping, how are you doing? Like, are you I've got 7 days and I'm good. 30 days? Are you going for a year's worth of food? What's your kind of plan and target there?
So at the minute, mate, I would say if things got comfortably, I would say 3 months we could live like nothing's changed.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, if something really bad happens, you could probably stretch it to 6. It would be a struggle, but if you had to, I could easily stretch it to 6. The only thing, mate, that I struggle with, and I pure from my own laziness, is electricity side of stuff. Knowing how currents work, knowing what wattage I need, whether it will be solar, whether it will be, you know,
I'm right there with you. I'm right.
Yeah. So that side of things, mate, I really need to. That's probably where my energy needs to go to. Whether it would be a decent solar setup or whether it would be some type of wind. I mean, I've got the usual stuff that we all have. Like I've got 101 power banks. I've got a battery thing there, you know, with all my batteries. So I'm well stocked in that sense, mate. But anything long term, I would struggle.
Yeah, so that's the thing when it's got to take that step into long term, because it's not just power you've got to think about. It's like self-sufficiency. If you've got the benefit of a garden, if you've not, and what's the backup plan for that? There's a lot of thought to be put in. But that 3 months initially, that buys you a lot of time when the idiots will disappear. So the people left after 3 months, hopefully, should be a lot more helpful.
I do factor that into a lot of stuff that I do, mate. I agree with you. I think if it did get really bad, after a month, a lot of people are going to be gone.
Yeah.
So you would be left, like you say, hopefully with the decent people. We have got quite a large garden here. So my partner does like we call it the veggie patch. So we've got like carrots, normal onions, red onions. I've got 2 raspberry bushes, strawberries, gooseberries, rhubarb, and she's grown pumpkins. I don't know why, but they're in there as well. So we do have, and we've got, and I've got something to catch rainwater as well. It must be, how big must it be? Must be about 200 litres maybe.
Nice. So you've got quite a good start on the self-sufficiency side of things as well.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I think I'm a lot further ahead than most people.
And is that the kind of direction you want to go? The self-sufficiency route, like with the solar power, with the gardens, things like that?
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think, well, as preppers, we all want more stuff, don't we? We all want like unlimited water. We all want limited food, that type of thing. I think we know how to grow food and we know how to do the water stuff. So I feel comfortable with them, although I'd like them to be bigger.
Yeah.
It really is, mate, the solar and electricity stuff, which I'm failing on really. That I need to put more effort into. Maybe the only thing I would extend food wise, mate, maybe is rabbits or chickens. Maybe.
Right.
You know, if I was really going to put my homestead hat on and think I'm really going to make a go of it here and go full.
If what I'm hearing's right, stick with rabbits, because chickens could be it's the law where you had to declare them if you had over 10. It's now going down to like 1.
All right, okay.
If somebody gets bird flu and they're 20 miles that way, they'll cull them all in the area, so your chickens are gone. So rabbits is probably your safer bet. With
rabbits.
That one. If you like rabbit, it's a taste, you know.
Yeah, I do, mate. Well, so when I was young, mate, my gran used to make rabbit pie, so I'm quite partial to it. So maybe, mate, if I was going to go full on homesteader, maybe I would include that. But
see, I'm of two thinkings, because obviously, I mean, I'd love the money to do a full solar setup, but you're talking a big investment to start with.
Oh, huge, mate. Yeah.
You know, and despite what people think, YouTube does not pay the bills. See, so I'm not going to be getting that anytime soon. So my preps have kind of centered around like pre-electric living. So I've got like hand tools where I've got like hand drills and hand tools and stuff like that. And a lot of stuff is based around how I could live without electricity rather than trying to subsidize it. Have you thought about that at all?
Well, I used to be. I was a joiner, mate, before I went in the army. So I have a lot of hand stuff. I never thought about it until you just mentioned it. But in the garage, mate, I have a lot of hand tools.
Yeah. So
hand drills, chisels, hammers. I have a lot of old school low maintenance stuff.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah. Which I never thought about that, though, mate, till you just mentioned it, really, because I use it every day pretty much. And it just becomes part of your routine. I'd never thought about it until you just mentioned it.
That's good, and that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of for like the power going out. So I rather than a million different solar fairy lights, I'm stocking up on candles and candle making equipment and looking into the skill set needed for making new ones and things like that. Have you looked at survival skills? I mean, obviously, the military teaches you a lot. You know, not as much as some people think. You all don't come out like Rambo and the Green Berets, but you know, they do teach a lot, especially when it comes to discipline and learning things. So does the skill set come into it?
I think I'm pretty good with. I think I'm pretty good with the firelighting. I've got that pretty much nailed down. And shelter building, I've got all that stuff nailed down, mate. Whether outside of that, I don't know how much effort I would put in to want to know anything else. I don't know whether I'm good enough or whether the want would be there to get into. Well, to be fair, mate, you know, if I'm going to go down the rabbit route, you know, learning how to snare and that type of thing, could potentially be good. Would be a good thing to learn. Other than that, mate, for the survival skills, I think because my mind frame is, mate, I'm going to stay here as long as possible. It kind of, my mindset is, it kind of negates a lot of that, which isn't the right way to think as a prepper. But I think, you know, my mindset is I'm going to stay here as long as I can, as long as it's safe.
So it's not negating that; it's just prioritizing the home, as it were, over the survival.
Yeah, and I think the stuff that I know. So if I was going to leave here, I think realistically, mate, it would maybe be for, say, I would set myself up for 72 hours. So I would leave here, I would go to a different location, which I could live quite comfortable for 72 hours. You do it for weeks and then done. You're in the army. I could do it quite comfortably and realistically, me and my partner, for 72 hours. And whether that would be, mate, going from here, say, traveling, I don't know, 50 miles to go and help, if you're part of a mag, to go and help someone. Yeah. Whether it would be that scenario or whether I say, you know, it becomes unsustainable to stay here for whatever reason that may be, I would bug out for, say, 3 days and then come back. And the skills that I do know, I feel would get me through the 72. Yeah.
How's the family with that kind of thing? Because obviously bugging out for 72 hours on your own or with a couple of the lads that you're used to doing it with is one thing, but when you bring in family along who's not used to that kind of environment.
Well, I've only got my partner, so just for me and her.
Right.
So, well, until we have kids. So luckily, at the minute, I would feel quite comfortable being me and her. Now, if you're talking about next year, mate, and kids are brought into the equation, my whole mindset will shift into, so I've
got 3 shelves dedicated to baby food.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. And I would be no different. So then in that case, mate, if it was that case, maybe then my priority would change. Where would I feel comfortable leaving my partner and my kids here, while I went away for 3 days. I don't know whether I would. I think it would be, it would be. I suppose though, mate, that's conversations to have.
Yeah. It's good if you can get the family, even when we're going camping with my youngest, who is 10 months now. So we'll be going camping next month, and she'll be coming along. Obviously, she's not going to be lighting fires and cooking marshmallows, but she'll get in that environment of sleeping in a tent and getting used to that kind of thing. So I think camping's a great way to get people trained up.
Oh, definitely, mate. Yeah. Outside of like my immediate family here, mate, wider family are not very keen on the prospect of prepping.
Have you broached it with them? Because a lot of people struggle to even bring it up.
So weirdly, mate, the other day, my partner's mum and dad were here, and I don't know how the subject got broached, but my partner went into the garage to grab something that wasn't in the cupboard, and her mum said, "Where have you got that from?" And she went, "Oh, the stock of food we've got in the garage." And she's like, "Well, have you got a stock of food in the garage?" And she's like, "Well, what if something happens where you can't get to a supermarket or something closes down?" And Mum's like, "When's that ever happened?" And I didn't say anything, mate, but I thought, you've got a short memory. yeah, very, very short memory. When you're all stood outside Tesco, 2 meters away from each other, and they're limiting to what you can buy. So, like you say, mate, that was one instance. So, out wider family, mate, it's not really, I don't think it's something that would be interesting or something that they would. Take up on.
Have you got family and friends close by that you would get involved after the fact, like SHTF kind of situation?
So the only thing close by, mate, would be my partner's sister and husband and their little girl. It would also be brought into the fold if something happened. But other than that, mate, like I say, I live in Newcastle now. All my family are like 50 miles south of here.
Mm-hmm.
So
which will feel like 600 miles if there's no
exactly,
vehicles.
Mate. Yeah, exactly. So I don't realistically, mate. Well, like the disabled camper was saying the other day when he was talking to his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, who can you save and who can you look after? Realistically, mate, maybe, and it's a hard conversation to have with people. I don't know what I could do for them being 50 miles north of them, unless I could get here, or unless, because I mean, without something bad happening, mate, the A1's a nightmare. So jumping on the A1 when everyone's trying to get the same place is going to be a no-go. So realistically, mate, I don't know how much I could help them being 50 miles north of them.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? Because you want them to prep and you want them to be able to look after themselves, and you want to think the best, like, oh, they'll be okay. But sometimes in the back of your mind, you've got to kind of prepare for that fact of it's just going to be me and mine. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. We've touched on it a few times in the fireside chats with like the mental health side of things. Yeah. So it's a big hurdle. Do you find prepping helps the mental health, helps you be more in control?
Yeah, I love it. I love prepping, mate, honestly. Like it's I find it quite relaxing going through preps, stock taking, what have I got here? Where's this? Where's that? I do, mate. I find it quite relaxing, and even little things, mate, like going to work, but knowing routes home, knowing what's in my bag, how I would get home, how to meet with my partner. All of that, mate, gives me a sense of calm when I go out and do places. So, personally, for me, it's good. I totally understand how people spiral when you watch other things on YouTube. And you want to be living in a hole in your back garden, and I can see how people's mental health takes a turn really quick doing that way. But for me personally, though, mate, I find it, I love it. I could sit and talk about prepping all day with people if they'd let me.
See, I've done it for a long time, but I'll hold my hands up and admit I got sucked into that side of YouTube. Before I even started this channel, I got onto one, and he seemed quite reputable, and his information seemed quite legit on the first video I watched. And after that, it was this emergency alert and warning and stuff like this. And I got sucked down that rabbit hole. Like, my missus is trying to sleep. I'm lying in bed with an American accent talking away in my ear, telling me how Russia's about to invade us all and stuff. Yeah, and it can become overwhelming. So I realized quickly that, whoa, got to step back and control what you can, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What's your biggest hurdle you've had prepping?
Ooh, biggest hurdle prepping. Biggest hurdle prepping.
Yeah, or like, what have you come across?
It's a good question, mate. It's a good question. I would probably say, mate, it definitely is trying to set up one of those mags.
Yeah.
Because for me, mate, that would be crucial, not just for me, but for other people. That really is, mate, the real thing that bothers me, that I can't get off the ground. That's the only thing that really bothers me.
Yeah, we've got a few people from the Northeast, I believe, on the forum, ukprep.co.uk. So I started a forum up because I'd been on prepper forums and they were very centered around, oh, you've bought the wrong equipment. Oh no, you don't want that bow. And I was like, no, I don't want this. I want a friendly, nice environment. You can come in and have never done it before. And we'll help. But I started a little mag section on there to try and selfish reasons to try and find people in my area. But I think I've come to the conclusion that my mag's going to be like, you've seen the people I speak to on a regular basis on the channel, and there's people that I've grown to trust and like, and my mag's probably going to be scattered all over the country. And it might be a case of everyone stay in your homes until your supplies are low, and then we meet in this X location. You know?
To be fair, mate, I was thinking about that. I was watching something on your channel today, and you were saying about going down if Josh ever needed help, and how you would get there. And I thought about that, mate. I thought maybe I need to be more open-minded in terms of my mag, like you would maybe be nationwide. You know, like you say, if you're a couple months in and everyone's pretty thin on the ground, maybe I do start thinking about, you know, setting one up.
Yeah,
it's nationwide, maybe.
Yeah, it's good if you can get a kind of network that at least you're talking to, even if it's not like complete grid down and there's still communications. At least there's something that can help and stuff like that, you know. And if you did have to bug out for any reason, let's say, for example, the Northeast was affected, but the rest of the country was not too bad. You don't want to just be trying to find long lost family. You've got a network. You can at least stop at places on the way to where you know. So it's an interesting concept. Whether it works is theoretical at the moment. So, so other than the reason you started and just being a general prepper, I do have to ask everyone this, and, you know, without the fear mongering, what do you think is the biggest threat to you personally, as in your location, and the UK as a whole at the moment?
Something happening to the grid, to the electricity grid. 100%. I can't. For me, if you're going to list the top 10, for me, I think it is something that is so critical, but it would be so easy for somebody to achieve something quite drastic, where you could
sabotage kind of thing.
100%, mate. Or even a case of, mate, like, you know, the stuff that's going on in Russia now. If for whatever reason some type of energy source got stopped, so you couldn't generate electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember during the pandemic when they were on about rolling blackouts, weren't there?
Yeah, well, they were talking about it last year.
Yeah,
they were talking about it last year for money saving things like 3-day blackouts and stuff.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, so for me, that would be, and I think that's why I'm thinking more, mate, about the solar stuff, because for me that's the main thing that would hit me.
Yeah. Do you find it interesting that just over a year ago, well, it's probably a year and a half ago now, they were talking about 3-day blackouts, and then not long ago they launched a government prepare site saying make sure you've got 3 days worth of food.
Yeah, to be fair, mate, when that came out, I kind of had a sense of smugness. Yeah, where I thought, I've been doing this for that long now that even the government are saying you should be doing it. But I mean, when they were on about that rolling blackouts, mate, I was convinced that was going to be a thing. I was genuinely convinced that was going to be a real issue, and they were going to bring it in.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance we're on the reserve kind of. There's no backup.
Yeah,
and we rely heavily on European sources, and the problem is, if war, touch wood, never touches British soil, whatever it affects in Europe has knock-on effects. Half of our food is imported. Half of our energy is imported. So whether it's rolling blackouts for one evening a week or 3 days a week, it's always better to be ready for it. But I just found it really odd that they said 3 days on the blackout thing, and then it was 3 days of supplies that they advised on the government site. It's like they're getting us ready. Conspiracy hat on.
100%, mate. Like, if the shoe fits, I can see it being. I can definitely see where the dots connect.
How much do you think politics affects the way you prep? Does it have any effect on you, or do you stay away from all that?
To be fair, mate, with politics, I think irrelevant who was in charge. I don't think it would affect the way I prepped. I don't think anyone is in. Well, to be fair, mate, I'm of the old, the old adage. It's quite common in the prep community. No one's coming to save you. I 100% believe that. So, irrespective of who's in government, it wouldn't affect the way I prepped. I would still continue to do what I do. And even if I had someone really good in government, then, like you say, if something happens in Europe that's outside our control, and the government themselves haven't prepped for where's our energy going to come from, then the only person who's going to look after us is us, isn't it? So
yeah, well, I've said for a while, I think our country's got its head well and truly in the sand.
Oh, massively,
no matter where your political persuasions lie, I try to speak to every party before the election and ask them about this kind of subject.
Yeah.
And stonewalled from every single one.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, mate.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. That's it. It's fine. Everything's wonderful. Interesting. Yeah. Right. So last thing I want to touch on is obviously I did some digging, and you are part of something called Veterans Launchpad. Could you tell us all about that?
Yes, mate. So it's my job, and it's a charity, and it provides housing for homeless veterans.
Okay.
So I've been there since 2017, still there today, and we take veterans from all over the country. So not just Newcastle, not just Northeast. I've got a couple of lads in there from London, and yes, like I say, we take nationwide. Come from all corners of the UK at any given time. Quite unique in the terms of we're the only charity that takes wives as well. So most of the time, mate, you'll see if a veteran's homeless but they're married, they'll go to one of the big charities and say, "Can I have housing?" They say, "Yep, you move in there." And then when they go to move in, they say, "Well, hang on a minute, you can't. She can't move in because she's not a veteran." And obviously the veteran's like, "What?" Yeah, but obviously the veteran's like, "It's my wife. We're a couple." And they're like, "Well, you can move in, but she'll have to go and source accommodation somewhere else." So we're the only charity, mate, who takes couples. So naturally, I've got 4 couples in at the minute. So the building, mate. Sorry. So the building. When I say we provide housing, we've actually got 33 flats in a block, and it used to be an old people's home, and then it got converted. So they're all 1-bedroom flats, self-contained, like it would just be in a block of flats. But there's staff there, obviously me included, and we do stuff like finance support, mental health support, addiction support, all things that you would expect from sport accommodation, but it's just tailored to veterans.
Cool. So is that like a stepping stone then to try and get them to move on to something?
Yes, mate. Yeah. So the idea is that they stay there for up to 2 years, they come in, get themselves sorted, get themselves grounded with the mental health. If they've got any addictions or anything like that going on, we get them settled in, grounded onto a stable platform, and then moved into accommodation, in their own accommodation, back in the community, hopefully with some skills and training to get them back into employment as well. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, not only have you served the country, you're still doing it now. It's very admirable. And I just wanted to put that out. The website's across the bottom there. It'll also be in the comments if you know anyone who could benefit from that. I really didn't know that they would shoo off people's wives and stuff as veterans.
Yeah.
I do think it's disgusting that we don't do enough at all for our veterans in this country.
Yeah, a lot of people make a surprise when they find out about the thing about they won't take partners or wives. everyone's shocked by that.
Yeah, she stuck by you through this entire hard time. Now you've got to kick her to the curb if you want to.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks for your service. All right. Well, I think we've come to the end of my questions there. So if you'd like to say goodbye to the wonderful people.
Goodbye, wonderful people.
Other than that, thanks everyone
for
watching. Don't forget to check out Veterans Launchpad. If you know anyone that's affected in that way, then let them know. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.